Hey there, welcome back to the channel. It's great to see you. You know, we put these Hollywood stars up on a pedestal. We see them in these classic movies, looking flawless, delivering iconic lines, and we just assume they have it all figured out. But, and I say this with love, they're also human. And sometimes, being human means the elevator doesn't quite go to the top floor. So today, 4 old Hollywood legends whose brains had, let's say, the occasional blooper. Purely in good fun. All right, first up, the one, the only, Marilyn Monroe. But before the platinum blonde hair and the iconic beauty mark, there was Norma Jean Mortensen, a brunette with a difficult past and a powerful dream. The Hollywood studio system saw her potential and meticulously crafted a new identity for her. They bleached her hair, changed her name, and created the persona that would take the world by storm. She became the ultimate blonde bombshell, the absolute pinnacle of old Hollywood glamour. Her image was everywhere, a dazzling mix of wide-eyed innocence and smoldering sensuality that was utterly captivating. When you picture that golden era, it's her luminous face, her dazzling smile, that instantly comes to mind. She wasn't just a star, she was a cultural phenomenon. And that star power hasn't faded one bit. It still shines as brightly today as it did in the 50s. On screen, she was simply magnetic. Whether she was playing the gold-digging Lorelei Lee in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes or the vulnerable Sugarcane in Some Like It Hot, she had an almost magical ability to connect with the audience through the camera lens. Off-screen, she understood the power of that image. The studios were selling a very specific fantasy, and Marilyn, a shrewd operator in her own right, leaned into it. The dumb blonde persona wasn't an accident. It was a character she inhabited, a role she played to absolute perfection. She knew exactly what the public wanted, and she delivered it with a wink and a smile. But was it all just an act? Here's where the lines begin to blur. The persona was so convincing that even she seemed to get lost in it sometimes. She famously admitted to having dizzy moments that weren't just for the cameras, moments of genuine naivete or confusion. This wasn't a flaw, it was a key part of her appeal. That raw vulnerability, peeking through the glamorous facade, made people feel a deep connection to her. It made audiences, and even her co-stars, want to reach through the screen and protect her from the harsh realities of the world. She was a master of the memorable, persona-building soundbite. When a reporter supposedly asked her to name the capital of California, she paused, then answered with a breathy, "C. Perfect Marilyn." And when asked what she wore to bed, her legendary reply was, "Chanel No. 5. These stories, true or not, stuck because they were harmless, witty, and perfectly encapsulated the character she had created. But behind the witty remarks and dazzling smile, there was a darker struggle. Her chronic lateness on set became legendary, infuriating directors like Billy Wilder. But it wasn't diva behavior. It was often the result of crippling stage fright and a debilitating perfectionism. She was terrified of not being good enough, a fear that would keep her locked in her dressing room for hours. This complexity was something those closest to her saw clearly. Her marriage to the celebrated playwright Arthur Miller shocked Hollywood. He saw past the bombshell image to the intelligent, sensitive woman beneath. This was the Marilyn who owned a library of over 400 books, from James Joyce to Walt Whitman. The Marilyn who wrote deeply personal poetry and dedicated herself to her craft, studying method acting with the legendary Lee Strasberg. She was so much more than a simple caricature. So, was she a secret genius or a clueless ditz? The truth, as it often is, was somewhere in the messy, beautiful middle. She was a brilliant performer who was also deeply insecure, a savvy businesswoman who could also be heartbreakingly vulnerable. Marilyn Monroe became a legend not for being one thing, but for being everything at once. The dizzy anecdotes and the intellectual pursuits aren't contradictions. They are all essential pieces of the complex, captivating woman who she was. And those footnotes don't dim her glow. They make it shine all the more brilliantly. Next on our list is the wonderfully talented Judy Holliday, an actress whose effervescent charm and comedic genius lit up both the stage and screen. Before she was a Hollywood star, she was a sensation on Broadway, honing her craft and developing a persona that was utterly unique. She wasn't just another pretty face. She was a master of character, capable of stealing a scene with a single, perfectly timed line or a bewildered glance. Her most iconic role, of course, was Billy Dawn in. Holliday originated the part on Broadway to rave reviews, but when it came time for the film adaptation, the studio head wanted a bigger name. But Holliday fought for the role she had perfected, and her performance is one for the ages. She won the Academy Award for Best Actress, beating out legends like Bette Davis IV and Gloria Swanson IV. She played the dumb blonde so convincingly, with such warmth and vulnerability, that audiences and even industry insiders began to believe the act was the reality. They mistook the artist for the art. But here's the incredible twist. Judy Holliday was a certified genius. Her IQ was rumored to be a staggering 172. Long before Hollywood, she was part of a satirical comedy troupe called The Reviewers, alongside future legends Betty Comden and Adolph Green. She was known among her friends for her razor-sharp wit and intellectual curiosity. Imagine the profound irony. A brilliant woman, celebrated for playing a fool, and then being treated like one in her daily life. Studio executives and reporters would speak to her slowly, condescendingly, as if she were Billy Dawn. When a reporter once asked her about her famously high IQ, she delivered a line worthy of one of her own scripts. With a perfect Billy Dawn-esque flutter, she quipped, "Gee, I don't know. What's an IQ?" Before adding she'd have to go look it up, but her intelligence wasn't just for witty comebacks, it was a tool for survival. At the height of the Red Scare, Holliday was called to testify before the Senate Internal Security Subcommittee. Her name had been linked to supposedly pro-communist groups, an accusation that had destroyed countless careers. The stakes could not have been higher. Faced with a panel of senators ready to brand her a subversive, Judy made a calculated decision. Instead of trying to outsmart them, she played the part they already expected. She leaned into her Billy Dawn persona, appearing flustered, confused, and utterly naive. She claimed she was a pushover who joined causes without understanding them. The senators, expecting a hardened radical, were met with a screwball heroine. They dismissed her as a harmless dupe, completely unaware they were being outplayed. It was a performance that saved her career. This Tony and Oscar-winning talent had mastered the art of public perception and used it as a shield. Her famous "What's an IQ?" line wasn't just a joke. It was a meta-commentary on her entire career. Judy Holliday was never the fool. She was the brilliant woman smart enough to play one, turning a stereotype into an art form. Tragically, her time in the spotlight was cut short when she passed away from cancer at just 43. But she left behind a legacy of unforgettable performances and one of Hollywood's most fascinating backstories, proving that sometimes the smartest person in the room is the one everyone underestimates. But if Marilyn Monroe was the blueprint for the Hollywood bombshell, our next star took that blueprint, dipped it in pink paint, and covered it in glitter. Now let's talk about Jane Mansfield. If Marilyn was the elegant bombshell, Jane was the bombshell with the dial broken off. Where Marilyn projected a soft vulnerability, Jane was a winking, unapologetic spectacle. 20th Century Fox even groomed her as a Monroe replacement. But Jane wasn't content to be anyone's understudy. She built her own, much louder empire. Its capital was her Pink Palace, a 40-room monument to her brand with a heart-shaped pool and a fountain that flowed with pink champagne. She was a cartoon of glamour, and she was the artist. The studios pushed Jane as the fun, accessible alternative, and she loved the spotlight. She knew attention was Hollywood's currency. At a 1957 party, she engineered a wardrobe malfunction next to Sophia Loren. The resulting photo of Lauren's sideways glance is one of Hollywood's most iconic. Jane made sure you could never look away. She embraced the dumb blonde more than anyone. On brand, on purpose. It was a calculated choice. Jane understood that in the 1950s, the public wasn't ready for a woman who was both a sex symbol and an intellectual, so she gave them the profitable character they wanted. Then there's the wonderfully goofy payphone story. Needing to make a call, she supposedly pulled out her credit card and tried to jam it into the coin slot. Baffled it didn't give a dial tone. It's a perfect sight gag. A publicist's dream. Whether it happened or not didn't matter. People believed it could. The story was more valuable than the truth, because behind the pink was a formidable intellect. The woman who feigned confusion at a payphone reportedly had an IQ of 163, spoke 5 languages, and was a classically trained pianist and violinist. The Pink Palace was brand headquarters, every inch publicity ready. The persona worked, bringing her fame, riches, and making her a household name. She played the role non-stop until the lines vanished, not just for the public, but perhaps even for herself. Jane wasn't dumb. She was a savvy businesswoman and a marketing genius who understood her product better than anyone, herself. She was her own PR mastermind and her own best client. And finally, the incomparable Zsa Zsa Gabor. Less a movie star, more a professional celebrity. Her persona? Royalty in exile. Fabulously wealthy, above the mundane. The accent, the darling, the jewels, the husbands, it was an irresistible act. She pioneered being famous for being famous. Kardashians owe her, darling. She delivered crafted bon mots, gaffes that were actually perfect punchlines. Asked, "How many husbands have you had?" She purred, "You mean apart from my own?" Scandalous, witty 7 words that defined her brand, magnificently absurd. 9 husbands? Sure, but this wasn't confusion. It was performance. I am a marvelous housekeeper. Every time I leave a man, I keep his house. Sounds ditzy, delivered with a self-aware wink. In 1989, she slapped a Beverly Hills cop, then turned the trial into theater. Convicted, sure, but she spun it into headlines and paychecks. That's savvy. Apart from my own? Wasn't a gaffe. It was a mission statement. She played by her own rules. We should all be so dumb, darling. And there you have it. 4 Hollywood legends. Proof you don't need to be a rocket scientist to be a star. From Marilyn's geography to Zaza's marital math, makes us love them more. Behind the silver screen sparkle were real, relatable quirks. Who's your favorite old Hollywood star? Got funny stories we missed? Drop them below. If you enjoyed this trip back in time, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. We've got plenty more Hollywood stories to share. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.